Daily fantasy sports. For those of you that play on DraftKings or are interested in playing on DraftKings or just looking for a different way to bet on baseball, I'm going to do this show hopefully every day. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the numbers and pick out players. I'm going to do building blocks and value picks and potentially games to avoid as well. Strategy I like to employ, I'm looking for hitters at the top of the order, sort of 1, 2, 3 hitters in the order, because they're going to get more opportunities for you to score points because they will get more at bats because of their position in the lineup. I don't like to spend a lot of money on the catcher position because you're not going to score points for steals from your catcher very often, etc. You're literally just looking at production with the lumber, singles, doubles, triples, and obviously the hope for the home run. That's my main strategy when it comes to daily fantasy sports. And let's move on. In an ideal situation, I'll look for a building block at each position. For starting pitcher tonight, my building block player is Dallas Keuchel of the Houston Astros, 10,100. He will cost you on DraftKings. Obviously, the New York Yankees have struggled with left-handers. They have gone some way to rectifying that, but Keuchel, in his performances against New York last year, didn't allow any runs and looks a really solid play, even though he is a sort of top-end price tonight. First base, I struggled with a building block player today, really, and I settled in the end for Adrian Gonzalez for the Dodgers. He's got a 258 average off of 31 at bats, which isn't great. He's hit a home run off James Shields, and I think Gonzalez, unless you want to pay up the big number for a Paul Goldschmidt or someone like that, Gonzalez is a solid building block for your teams on DraftKings today. Second baseman's a no-brainer. Jose Altuve of the Houston Astros costs you 4,300. He led the American League in hits and steals last year. He's faced Tanaka before. He went 1 for 3. That one was a home run, which obviously boosts your score with 10 points as well. And I think if you haven't got Altuve in your lineup today, then I think you're crazy. At shortstop, Carlos Correa. Again, we're sticking with the Houston Astro. He's 2 for 3 against Tanaka in the game where he faced him. He'll cost you 4,200. One of those two was also a home run. I see no reason why Correa isn't in the side. He's a potential MVP, and I think we're going fairly heavy on Houston today. Third base, there's a lot of options out there today. Josh Donaldson will set you back 4,600. The Toronto Blue Jay is 2 for 8 against Jake Odorizzi, but both those hits were home runs, and obviously a home run for 10 points is really going to boost your score, and he's started the season fairly well for the Jays against the Rays in that series. If you don't want to pay 4,600 for Donaldson, you could pay 4,600 for Kyle Seager. The Seattle Mariner third baseman is 10 for 20. That's a fairly decent sample size with 3 home runs off Martin Perez of the Texas Rangers, and that would be excellent production for you at the position as well. In the same game, Adrian Beltre, he'll set you back 4,200. He's got 306 average of 36 at bats against Hisashi Iwakuma, and he's hit 3 home runs off of Iwakuma as well. Any of those would be excellent options for you at third base on DraftKings today. In the outfield, I'm going to look at a couple of Pittsburgh Pirates, Andrew McCutchen and Gregory Polanco. McCutchen's 4,800 is top dollar for the outfield today. Gregory Polanco 4,100. Both had good opening games of the season against the St. Louis Cardinals, and both are hitting 500 off of Michael Wacha with more than 10 at bats against him. So that they look solid building blocks for your outfield. For my value plays in daily fantasy today, when it comes to pitchers, I was looking at Chris Young at 6,200 for the Kansas City Royals against the Mets. If you ignore his past performance against those Mets, where he's got a sort of 6 ERA in games against them, he did have a really good year last year, a healthy 1.09 WHIP, and there's I'd hope for a slightly increased strikeout number from him in the game, but 6,200 is cheap as chips when it comes to starting pitching. Alternatively, if your pitchers, if you want to buy into the Verlander potential for bounce back, he's 8,700, and Jose Quintana for the White Sox against the Oakland Athletics is 8,400, is also excellent value for me. I think he could have a very, very good game tonight. Carlos Santana at first base is at 3,600. He's got 3.46 average in 26 at bats against David Price, and will give you excellent production on those numbers. If you want to go with the value at first base, which, as I said, was a position I struggled with today. The other first baseman I found was Adam Rosales of San Diego. He qualifies at first and second, only costs you 2,000. He's got a 3.16 average with a home run off of Kazmir, and that's easily the sort of best number of any Padre against Scott Kazmir, and could prove to be a little bit of value. Also at second base, Jason Kipnis of Cleveland. He costs you 3,600. He's got a 3.48 average in 23 at bats against David Price as well. Kipnis could add to your side. Also Jed Giorco of St. Louis. He's 3,300. He qualifies at shortstop as well. He's a smaller sample size, 5 for 9 off John Nisi, but Nisi's nowhere near a top end pitcher when it comes to this, and should give up some hits and runs, I think. And I'm going to botch this name, Rugni Odor, who's 3,900 for Texas. In 11 at bats against Hisashi Iwakuma, he's gone 4.55 and could provide a spot of value for you for 3,900 as well. Though, to be honest, I think Altuve, you need to pay up for Altuve at that position. Moving on to the outfield, I'm going to chuck a Yankee in there. Carlos Beltran is 3,500. He's got a 4 for 9 record with a home run in those 9 at bats he's had against Dallas Keuchel. There's not been a lot of production for Yankees against him. Certainly he's the only Yankee I'll be looking at playing today. Kevin Kiermaier of the Tampa Bay Rays. If you watched my preview for the American League East prior to this season, you'll know that I don't think Aaron Sanchez should be starting. He has had issues in the past getting left-handers out. Kevin Kiermaier is a left-handed batter. It's a small sample size. He's only had 2 at-bats against Sanchez, because obviously Sanchez has been pitching in relief, so there's going to be small sample sizes there. That being said, Kevin Kiermaier has 2 hits, one of which was a home run in those 2 at-bats, and I'd certainly be willing to suggest that he could go to the well again today. The final outfielder I've got is Brandon Barnes of the Colorado Rockies. He's only 2,600. Against Shelby Miller, he has got 4 hits in 10 at bats, and if you want to go with a Colorado outfielder, I think most people will be looking at Charlie Blackmon, who is a solid play, but he'll set you back 4,400, nearly 2,000 more than Barnes, and obviously Carlo Gonzalez. And one of the keys to daily fantasy, as we know, is trying to pick players who will produce that are not in other people's lineups, because that's the way you win. I'll finish up with, if you want to play a Boston Red Sox, because I know there's a lot of Red Sox fans out there, the only one you play today is Big Puppy. He qualifies at first base. He's got a 2.73 average, which isn't fantastic, but he does have 2 home runs in 11 at bats off Corey Kluber. Personally, I think I'd leave that game alone, and certainly I'd want to be avoiding hitters in the Mets-Royals game. That doesn't look high scoring, and obviously the more runs you get for your hitters, the better it is for you. That's my daily fantasy sports preview for today. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video if you found it useful, and any feedback, anything you'd like to see in the show, hit me up in the comments. I'm open to suggestions. Have a great day. Best of luck in your daily fantasy.